So today, we're going to dive into a connection that might totally surprise you. It's this powerful, almost hidden link between the strength of your muscles and the health of your mind. Honestly, it's a link that could really redefine how we think about aging. I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever considered that the power in your grip or how fast you walk is actually more than just a sign of physical fitness? What if it's a direct clue to where your brain is headed in the future? Well, that's exactly what the latest research is suggesting, and we're going to unpack all of it. Okay, so to really get this, we first need to define a really key term, frailty. Now, this is not just about feeling a little weak or fragile. It's an actual clinical syndrome where your body's reserve tank is running dangerously low. This state of vulnerability means that any little stressor, an illness, an injury, even a psychological challenge, can have a way bigger impact. It's a whole body problem. And a huge piece of this frailty puzzle is something called sarcopenia. It's a bit of a sciencey term, but it just means the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. It's a direct hit to our ability to function, and as we're now learning, it's a major, major driver of that broader condition of frailty. So let's be super clear on the difference here. Sarcopenia, that's the specific loss of muscle. Frailty, that's the bigger, whole-body vulnerability that happens because of it, and other things. Think of it like this. Sarcopenia is a key ingredient, but frailty is the final, much more complex, and dangerous dish. All right, so we've got the definitions down. But why does this physical decline matter so much for our minds? This is where the connection gets really interesting, and honestly, where the stakes get incredibly high. And here it is, plain and simple. This is the big takeaway from a ton of recent research. A person's frailty status is one of the most powerful predictors we have for the risk of future cognitive decline. It's like a physical warning light for a potential problem with the brain down the road. And look, this isn't just some vague idea. Clinical studies have made this link incredibly clear. As the research shows, frailty isn't just happening alongside cognitive issues. It's been identified as a significant predictor for them, and that includes things as serious as dementia. It's a clear signal that the body's health and the brain's health are deeply, deeply connected. In fact, researchers had even given a name to this dangerous duo, cognitive sarcopenia. This term describes what happens when low muscle mass and cognitive problems show up at the same time. And when they do, it's a massive red flag. This combination dramatically increases the risk for the worst outcomes, like severe disability and even earlier mortality. So if this connection is so critical, how do we actually spot frailty in the first place? Well, it turns out it's not just a subjective feeling. Clinicians have developed really specific, objective ways to measure it. Let's take a quick look at how they do it. One of the most common tools is called the Fried Frailty Phenotype. It's basically a series of simple yet incredibly telling physical tests. They measure things like your grip strength, how fast you walk, your ability to stand up from a chair a few times, and even the strength of your respiratory muscles. You put them all together, and these simple tests paint a really clear picture of a person's overall physical resilience. And make no mistake, this is not some rare condition affecting just a few people. This number, it's just staggering. In one long-term study, 71.2% of participants developed frailty over the course of the research. That's nearly 3 out of every 4 people. I mean, let that sink in. It just shows how common this is, making it a huge public health concern we really need to pay attention to. Okay, so we know what frailty is and how it's measured, but what actually puts someone at a higher risk for it? Well, as you can probably guess, it's not just one thing. Research shows it's a really complex web of different factors. The risk factors are a mix of things you might expect, like poor nutrition or having multiple chronic health conditions. But there are also some that are more surprising. Research shows that poor sleep, eating a diet that causes a lot of inflammation, and even sensory issues, like losing your sense of hearing or smell, are all linked to a higher risk of frailty. It's a powerful reminder of just how interconnected all of our body systems really are. All right, I know that after looking at all those risks, it might feel a little daunting, but the story absolutely does not end there. The great news is that research also points to proactive strategies we can all use to build resilience. So what does the evidence say we can actually do about it? So crucially, this decline is not inevitable. Research highlights 2 really promising interventions. The first one is, probably no surprise at all, exercise. It's been shown again and again to improve both physical function and cognitive function. The second is a specific nutritional supplement called GLENAC.
Some studies have found it can improve physical function by targeting some of the key hallmarks of aging, right at the cellular level.
Now, you might be wondering about other popular strategies, right? What about something like fasting? It's a huge topic for health and longevity, but when it comes to preserving muscle mass as we age, the answer? Well, it isn't so simple. The research is actually a real mixed bag.
Yeah, this debate is pretty complex. On one hand, you have some studies, like those looking at long-term fasting for Ramadan, that found no negative effects on muscle performance. But then, on the other hand, different types of fasting, especially certain intermittent fasting schedules, have been shown to cause a loss of lean body mass. The big takeaway here is that the type and duration of the fast really matter. It is definitely not a one-size-fits-all solution for preserving muscle.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. We've seen that this link between our muscles and our minds is incredibly powerful. It's measurable, and it's influenced by our daily choices. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. Looking at everything we've covered, what is one simple step you can take, starting today, to invest in both your future physical strength and your future brain health? Thanks for tuning in.